Well, folks, welcome to yet another edition of Smarter Money Matters, your exclusive ticket to advanced wealth wisdom that's hard to find elsewhere. We'll be teaching family office wealth secrets and the keys to intergenerational wealth, from retirement, asset protection, and smart tax strategy to how to pay way less in taxes, expert trust and estate planning, investments to insurance, even real estate and business financial planning. We are your passport to more wealth with less hassle and less friction, entertaining, clear, and to the point. We make it fun to get richer with less work and stress. I'm Dr. Jeff Camarda, your wealth doctor, of course, joined by our super CFPs, Lou and Anna. Thank you so much for joining us. Today's session is going to be about when to claim Social Security and talking about the conventional wisdom and maybe some other considerations that may make you think twice about the conventional wisdom. So I think typically, what are most people counseled to do with Social Security? What claiming age, assuming you're going to live a normal lifespan?
Most people say push it off till you're 70.
Right, and why is that?
You get the higher benefit.
Yeah, in fact, the benefit increases pretty dramatically as you get older, right? I think it goes from something like $2,200 for a 62-year-old to $3,700 for a 70-year-old, which is almost double, right? And presuming that you live a normal lifespan and long enough, to catch up with those extra payments, the conventional wisdom is you get more money in your pocket by waiting because the payment is so much bigger, right?
Yeah.
But that's, kind of just half the story. So what are some reasons that, may argue against that people might want to take it sooner?
I mean, I think a big one is just flexibility, right? So if you defer it to 70, which is that conventional wisdom, and you're pulling from investments instead, if you have a large purchase or that you want to make later in retirement or higher healthcare costs, you want to give a gift, something like that, if you've depleted a lot of your investments, you may not have as much flexibility.
Yeah, and you also have to think about sequence of return risk, right? If the market goes down during that period, not only you spent the portfolio down, but it's also worth a lot less because, so it's kind of like a double whammy, right?
Sure.
So flexibility is pretty important. And also, there's a mindset about, if I've got regular income coming in, you tend to spend it. If you got to make a decision, am I going to go into my investments or my account, you might be more reluctant to do that, and you psychologically may just resign yourself to living and retiring less comfortably than you could, right?
Sure.
What are some other considerations, Laura?
The other thing is obviously mortality concerns, right? How long is someone going to live for? And the sooner, the longer we wait, the less money or less years we have to draw on Social Security. So if this is a benefit that we've been paying into our entire working careers, our entire working lives, some people are going to want to start it early and then make sure that they get their money back in a way, right?
Yeah, and even if you expect to have a long lifespan, I expect to live well into my 90s, and Adrian purports that I'll live to be 200, so I hope he's right. But what if I get hit by a bus or get on the wrong plane next week, right? And all that potential hundreds of thousands of dollars of income stream, me and my family never would have got.
Yeah.
And there's also, a lot of folks don't think about it. I got to tell you, this is something I'm sure that all of you have heard, and we have been steeped in it in our training as financial planners. That's the rigor. You go ahead, you wait till 70, and if you're going to live a normal lifespan and catch up, that's what you should do. No more discussion. But what about the opportunity cost?
Sure.
Right, so it assumes that, the break-even analysis doesn't consider what you could earn if I'm getting a smaller payment sooner and I'm not spending it and investing it. What would that grow to, especially in the kind of market we've had over the past 10 years?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I guess, when we go through, and you should think about this, Camarda clients, as we do your Social Security, claiming optimization analysis, which we can do for you anytime. And remember, Q2 is our big retirement planning and financial planning quarter to run these analysis and catch up on your retirement plan. So if you haven't done that, plan to when it comes around the calendar again, beginning in April of 2026. or with your other advisors, even back in the envelope or some of the online calculators, think about, does it really make sense to wait, what could I do with the money in the meanwhile? Would it free up your lifestyle? Would you invest it, maybe make more money? Would you have more flexibility? There are a lot of reasons really to kind of question the conventional wisdom. Any parting thoughts? I mean, Lou and Anna, you work very frequently with clients' retirement plans. I'm sure you get questions about this a lot, right? And what's the general feeling out there?
Well, to me, everyone's situation is different. You and your neighbor may have totally different, situations, totally different times that you want to start your Social Security based on your, how much money you have saved up, on your health history and your family health history, and just there's a number of different things that go into this. So what I usually talk about with my clients is that, let's run a financial plan. Let's put the numbers on paper and see what makes most sense. Because sometimes, if you have a lot of money saved up in your IRAs, well, there's the whole, and we'll talk about this in our next podcast maybe, but the whole conversion factor and required minimum distributions that start happen at a certain age at 73 now, where you're forced to take the money out of those IRAs. And if you have, if you're taking that money out and you have Social Security, well, what does that do? That increases your taxes overall. So there's a lot of...
And it also has your profound implications for the cost of Medicare.
Correct,
right?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. My suggestion is let's discuss it, let's talk about it, let's kind of, do your individual financial plan and see what the best solution is for you.
How about you, Ann? Any client stories or biases that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, some clients that I've worked with navigating the shift from working and accumulating to retirement and drawing income either from pension, Social Security investments, it's a big mental transition, right? When you're that saver, like a lot of our clients who just worked normal jobs, saved, right, business owners, making that transition is difficult. So from a money psychology perspective, maybe drawing Social Security a little earlier might help them with that transition. So I think that's another thing to factor in for some of those clients that may want to take it earlier and it might make sense to. And then I have other clients that have had parents that have lived into their late 80s and 90s and some that are still living, and they are more concerned with longevity. So that in their case, maybe it makes more sense to go longer, but it's very individualized like Lou was saying.
There's a lot of things to think about. And another one is, facing, in this, as we approach the middle of the 21st century, inflation has become a real wild card. And you just don't know where that's going to go. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of reason to believe that, the official government inflation figures, when they're finally published again, are going to maybe understate the actual case. So having a bird in the hand, getting a payment now, even though it's lower, with the opportunity for it to grow and maybe keep up with inflation, versus waiting later and actually getting a lot, less in terms of actual spending power, is something to think about.
Sure.
And there's also the tax considerations that you had mentioned earlier. Anyway, lots to talk about. Please feel free, as Camarda clients and those that want to get to know us, to have robust, discussions with us and in your own individual situation. We'll try to help you find the best path. But always question, the conventional wisdom and look beneath the cover, to maybe find a better way to go. And we're going to be talking about retirement a lot, by the way, in coming weeks. I think next week we're talking about how to do backdoor Roth the contributions, which is really important. And then we'll also talk about Roth conversion strategies later on, so you've got that information while you still have time to make those decisions before the end of the tax year. But for now, thanks so much for watching. From Jeff and Anna and Lou, thanks so much for watching Smarter Money Matters. It really does, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.